Hey everybody, BK with another episode of the Silver Savage podcast here. And this is actually, just so you guys know, the third podcast I am recording over the past few days. But it is now Sunday evening, late at night. It is almost 7 p.m. here in Montana, which would make it about 9 p.m. Eastern time. And I just finished the most amazing weekend, and I had to chuck all the other podcasts I recorded away and record a new one. So I do have notes in front of me. If you guys are wondering why I have my glasses on, my reading glasses make me look really silvery in terms of age, but it's so I can read my notes. But before I get into the actual topics of the podcast, I do want to share this thing. I just spent the weekend doing a business accelerator. That's what they call it, with a coach I've been following for a while and interacting for a while, who's been super helpful and super generous over the past year, George Bryant. And before I get to talk about George and what we did, this last day today, we actually spent at the headquarters for Flag Nor Fail. If you guys are familiar, it is Rob Bailey's company. Him and his wife, Dana. She's former Miss Olympia. He's an entrepreneur on a bunch of different levels and in a bunch of different elements and markets and industries. And the topic or the heading that you guys see on the podcast, Work, Hustle, Kill, is actually borrowed from him. So I did want to give due credit. I'm not trying to claim that one. And I wanted to share why I think it's applicable and why I liked it so much, to the extent that I titled the podcast this week that way. So when Rob Bailey, who is a super successful individual, started from nothing, was printing shirts in his garage by himself, still to this day does most everything on his own. And just so you guys know, he came and spoke with us without looking at his watch once, not putting any pressure, just giving us undivided attention and time and answering any questions that he has. And one of the things that he says is like, I'm a creator, and to this day I'm doing most everything myself. But we're not going to get into the nitty gritty of his talk with us. I will say his energy was amazing and super inspiring. With that, Work, Hustle, Kill, it's not necessarily about, us as silver savages and being warriors and fighters automatically take it in the direction of, okay, I'm going to work, I'm going to hustle, I'm going to kill, because that's what we do, right? So not that is not there, but really the application is a lot deeper. And then the next obvious is, okay, business, right? It's just killing it in business, right? Which is true, it is, and that certainly has something to do with it. But the really deeper meaning, and the one that resonated the most with me, and I hope you guys can relate as well, it's actually killing himself, in the sense that he continuously kills his old version and reinvents himself. Every time that he comes up with a new venture, every time that he comes up with a new design, every time that he comes up with a new way of operating, right, he's constantly trying to improve himself, improve his company, improve the life of those he loves. And that really resonated deep. And I took so many nuggets this weekend. This was certainly one of them. And because it's fresh and I was just there, it is the title of this week's podcast. So before I get into the actual details, I'm going to let you listen to the little intro for a second. So let's get into it. So George Bryant is the amazing coach that I've been following for a while. And he was running a 3-day weekend retreat. Turned out to be a 4-day weekend retreat. And a lot about business, a lot about what he considers, or what he coined, the customer journey. So a lot of marketing, a lot of how to handle customers, leads, and so forth. So I learned a lot. I will be honest, at times it was overwhelming, a lot of information. And I was honest with George. We had some very deep conversations on the topic. He put it best in the sense that he said, my brain right now is like a snow globe that was shaking really hard, and not all the pieces are landed yet. And that is probably true. And I am excited because I know that over the next few months, as these little flakes start coming down and start landing, and I can start applying them, it's going to be an ongoing process which will not end for a while, and that actually excites me. So with that, right, I took this opportunity of being here to really put to play something that I've been working on for a while, that I've alluded to in the last podcast, and I probably alluded to in previous podcasts as well. And something I've been building, and I am ready to launch, and I will do it today with you. So let's start a bit why. You guys know me, you've heard me in this podcast for months now. You know my background, you know my history. For those that don't, a significant amount of years in the military. I part-time as a law enforcement officer. I volunteer as a medic and trauma medicine. I an entrepreneur that ran multiple businesses for the past 17 years. I learned a lot. I made a lot of mistakes on all of those things. I did not come here being a stud or with any money or anything like that. I had to build my body to be a soldier and a warrior. I had to build my businesses with absolutely nothing. I had to learn from my mistakes and reinvent and rebuild myself many, many times. And as a result of that, and those of you that acknowledge it, and I truly do appreciate it, I've been reaching out. And over the past couple of years, I've been getting more and more messages from other savages like you that just want to pick my brain, that ask for mentorship, ask for coaching, ask for advice, which I am more than happy to give, and I will continue to give, because that's just who I am and it's what we do. But this is where I'm taking this. We're going to make it a lot more legitimate in a sense. So the Silver Savage community is already there, and we're going to continue to do it, and you're going to see a lot more content under the Silver Savage umbrella, right? So the Facebook page that we have right now, or the Instagram page, right? We're gonna keep operating both of those, but it's not just the podcast anymore. You're gonna see reels and tidbits of info that I'm gonna share on different elements. We're gonna get into those in a minute. You're gonna hear information that I think you can apply in your life, and tools that I can share with you. So we're gonna make it more of a educational / coaching platform for all of you, and it's completely free. You guys don't have to pay anything. You guys that are following us probably already are part of that community. If you're not, make sure you follow our Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube pages, because those three are gonna be the ones we're gonna use the most. We also have a website, which is gonna get somewhat revamped in a little bit. No changes there yet, but there will be some coming. So this is the thing. I identify 5 elements of what I consider to be a savage or a warrior in today's day and age. And a lot of it is my personal opinion. A lot of it is the feedback I get from you and the kind of questions that you guys come to me with or ask for my advice with. So those are the 5 elements or the 5 pillars that we're going to be concentrating on, and they do feed into each other, and a lot of them work in conjunction with each other, but they are independent of each other as well. So the first one is just self-awareness, just knowing who we are, what we are, working on our mind or self-development, right? So those of you that know me know I'm an avid reader. I read several books a week, oftentimes read several books simultaneously. I consume a lot of information, be it obviously books that I read, books that I listen to, audiobooks, podcasts. I do attend a lot of seminars and continually try to improve myself. And I want to share some of the tools that I use with you as part of this self-awareness and development phase. The other one is body and physicality. Guys, you heard me say this in multiple podcasts in the past. I don't have to go too in-depth into it. But if you guys are slobs, you're fat, you're out of shape, forget about looking like shit. You cannot function. And it's not even, I'm not even going to go into the warrior element that we discussed so many times in prior podcasts about you being able to protect your family and being able to help and aid if you need to. But just think about your own health. How many of you, assuming you are in my age group, want to die at 50, 55 from a heart attack because you didn't take care of your body, right? So I see, just looking around our society, how many men are desperate to have better health, better fitness, better nutritional habits, right? So I'm going to share a lot of tips and cues on that. And for those of you that don't know, I have 2 undergrad, 2 bachelor degrees. One of them is in counterterrorism and international security, part of the interdisciplinary studies. The other one is in kinesiology and exercise science. So it is something I know a good bit about. It's something that I've done as a personal trainer for years, something that I still do and consult even on professional levels with some professional athletes. So I will be sharing a lot of that with you. The third one is relationships. Listen, a lot of people say, BK, who are you to give relationship advice? You've been divorced 3 times, you're in your fourth marriage. I would argue that I learned a lot, and my relationship now with Tyler is the strongest I've ever had a relationship. Preemptive and pre-handling a lot of the issues that we had in the past or that I had in the past in prior relationships, because I am better at it. I am a better father, I'm a better spouse, I'm a better husband, I'm a better friend, I'm a better community member, right? So it's exactly because of those mistakes that I've made and the lessons that I've learned that I feel I can share with you some tools on that as well. And again, it's not just your spouse if you have one or if you don't. It's not just the kids if you have them or you don't. It's also about how you interact with other human beings. So there's a lot of tools that I'm going to be offering and sharing with you. There are some warrior-specific skill sets that I think are important and I want to share with you. The main three that I think are important are obviously self-defense, the ability to handle and use correctly firearms, and medicine, or specifically emergency and trauma care. Today's day and age, if we learned anything from the past few years, from COVID to riots to natural disasters and everything like that, is we have to have those skills because you never know what's going to happen. And if you cannot be your own bodyguard or your family's bodyguard and you don't have the tools to do so, you're failing them, you're failing yourself, you're failing society as a whole, as a man and as a warrior. So I'm going to share a lot of skills specifically on those. And I've been corrected many times because I always say I teach principles, not skills. And this weekend it came up several times. So I stand corrected. I'm actually not going to teach you skills. I'm going to teach you principles that you can apply to those events and situations. And lastly, as I said, I've been an entrepreneur for 16, 17 years. I started businesses, I closed businesses, I acquired businesses, I sold businesses. I went through my ups and downs. And I do think it's going to be a natural result if you get better at the 4 elements that we already discussed. You're also going to be a better business person. But I am going to share a lot of tools that you can apply to measure your success already, to set goals for yourself, and to operate more efficiently and effectively as a business. So I'm going to share some business tips specifically for entrepreneurs, but certainly does not have to be. So you're going to see all of that coming up. So as I said, all of that is going to be in our groups. It's going to be free and accessible to all of you for free. You just have to opt into the group. That's about it. So if you don't follow us yet, please do follow us. And if you know of other people that can benefit from it, please invite them as well. That's how we grow as a community. With that, I will say that I am going to start an offshoot of that, and that is going to be essentially just a beta test. I want to see how that works. So really, I'm putting this offer for you guys. I'm looking for 10, ideally men. They don't have to be, by the way. This is just as important for women as well. But I want 10 people to direct message me as soon as you hear this, and you guys are going to get free subscription to the actual coaching program that we're going to start as an offshoot. So it's going to be a closed group within the Silver Savage community. In that closed group, some added stuff that you guys are going to get is some assessment tools that I'm going to provide you to see where you are on those 5 pillars and what we need to work on so you can identify those. I'm going to give you some specific tools to track development or progress in those. We're going to have calls as a group. Think of it as a mastermind type approach. So we're going to get together and I'm going to be leading those calls and answering questions at that point in time. And obviously, you just have access to a more exclusive community within a community. So if you're interested in that and that's something that you think there's value in, I invite you to direct message me as soon as you can. There is one requirement, and that is you have to give it 100%. You got to commit all in, because I am using you. I am not gonna lie. I am gonna be using you as testing objects, right? So I need to get full commitment so I can see what works and what doesn't, and I can grow this program with you, and you guys essentially get grandfathered in for free as we in the future unfold this program in full scale. So that is all I have for you. I know I had a longer podcast and it's probably still going to drop next week or the following week, but I did want to change all of it because this weekend was absolutely amazing. By the way, one thing I didn't tell you yet and I thought was interesting. George's approach is very holistic. It wasn't just business. There was a lot of meditation and breathing exercises and a lot about mindfulness. And you guys that know me know that's something I struggle with. I always say I want to meditate, I want to get better at it. Did not do a good job over the years. But this weekend really gave me an opportunity to wrestle with a lot of internal questions and a lot of internal doubts that I had, and allowed me to break through some barriers and allow myself to move on to the next phase when it comes to that. So I'm excited to share some of the skills I learned from him with you as well. I think there's a lot of knowledge out there, be it George or Rob Bailey or anybody else. And if I can be the conduit on top of the skill sets that I can bring to the table to really offer you guys the tools to elevate yourself to the next level, I would like to do so. So hopefully you guys see value in it and you guys jump on board, and we as a collective group get this community to grow and excel. So that is it. Until next time, stay savage.